You think silence will make her collapse? That when you disappear, she'll go crazy missing you? Think again. Many women are already prepared for your withdrawal, and the harsh truth is, they're not as hurt as you imagine. But here's what you need to understand. You're not in pain because of her. You're in pain because of the idealized image you projected onto her. And it's that illusion that's squeezing your heart, not the real person she was. This video won't teach you how to make her come back. It will help you transform, so you don't even feel the need to look back. You'll learn why silence is a weapon, why withdrawing validation is the most painful move, and why forgiveness isn't weakness, but the quiet triumph of a grown man. Don't look away. The deeper you go, the more clearly you'll see your own strength. Part 1. Cutting off contact doesn't hurt her, it only makes you think it does. In San Diego, Marcus, a 32-year-old software engineer, had just stepped out of an 8-month relationship. There wasn't a dramatic argument, no tears streaming down cheeks in a rainy night like in the movies. Instead, she simply texted, "I think we should take some time apart." Marcus thought it was temporary, a few days of silence. She'd miss him, miss the evening spent eating pizza together, watching Marvel movies, talking about AI or planning a trip to Iceland. He decided not to reach out. No texting, no calling, a kind of strategic no-contact move, just like all the male psychology videos say. 3 weeks passed. On a Friday night, Marcus was scrolling Instagram out of habit, and then he froze. There it was, a photo of her, in a white dress, holding a tall, confident man. The caption read, "Yes to forever." He read it again and again and again. The pain hit him like a punch to the chest. But strangely, it wasn't because she had someone new. It was because his entire worldview collapsed. In Marcus's mind, she was someone who would come back. Someone who still had feelings, just overwhelmed. Someone who would eventually regret leaving. But the truth? She had moved on long ago, maybe even before the breakup. Maybe since the times she started growing silent, and he thought, she just needs space. Marcus was in pain, not because he lost her, but because he lost the illusion of her, the feelings he had assigned to her, the imagined future he had created, believed in and deeply loved, all on his own. Reflection. We often don't love the real person. We love the image they represent in our heads. When a relationship ends, the pain doesn't come from reality. It comes from the mind refusing to accept reality. And the saddest part, men don't get hurt most by betrayal. They get hurt when they realize they've been lying to themselves for too long. Small truth. Cutting contact may feel like you're in control, but if you're still clinging to an idealized image of her, then you're not really walking away. You're just waiting quietly for her to return. And that's exactly why you're not healing. Not because she still matters, but because you haven't faced the truth. You're in love with a dream, not a real person. Part 2. Silence isn't retreat. It's control. James, 35, lived in Chicago and had just retired from the Marine Corps after nearly a decade of service. He'd endured harsh environments, and he believed his heart had become just as resilient. But feelings, those invisible, weaponless things, can crush even the toughest men. His girlfriend, Amanda, a yoga instructor, broke up with him through a short text. "I need time to think. Please, don't contact me for a while." As a man of action, James was furious. He opened his phone and typed a long message, filled with hurt, anger, and frustration. But just before hitting send, he paused. On his desk was a small notebook he always carried, filled with lessons from the military, from life, and from past failures. One old scribbled line stood out. "The moment you react, she wins." James deleted the message. No words, no goodbye, no "I wish you the best." Nothing. 3 weeks later, Amanda texted, "Are you okay? I just want to know. Are you mad?" A different way of saying, "Why haven't you reacted? Why aren't you proving I mattered?" James didn't reply. Instead, he doubled down on his gym routine, started going on solo camping trips, posted some photos of Colorado's mountain ranges. No sad captions, no nostalgia, no cryptic quotes. Just him living, strong, silent, centered. Then he launched a small startup, survival gear based on what he used during his time in the field. The project gave him focus and a sense of purpose, not to prove anything to Amanda, but to reconnect with himself. Reflection. In a world where everyone scrambles to speak and defend their ego, silence becomes a strategic weapon. It's not retreat, it's a declaration of control. When you don't react, you're not passive. You're setting the tempo. You turn the game into a void, one where the other person has to face themselves, not manipulate you. Amanda never texted again, but James knew he had reclaimed the most precious thing, emotional sovereignty. Because sometimes doing nothing is the most powerful move. Not to seek revenge, but to protect your peace and walk forward, head held high. Part 3. Withdrawing validation. A bloodless but painful blow. Austin, Texas. Logan, 29 years old, worked in the IT department of a mid-sized tech company. Quiet, kind, and sincere. That's how his friends described him. And in love, Logan was also the kind of man who gave more than he received. He once dated a girl named Rachel, a marketing specialist, full of energy and always the center of attention whenever she walked into a room. At first, everything was great. Rachel replied to texts lightning fast. Every good night or "have you eaten?" from Logan was met with heart emojis, cute stickers, and sweet thank yous. But then, things started to change. Rachel's responses got slower. One day, then two. Eventually, there were no messages at all, unless she needed something. Tech advice or, "Hey, can you help me fix my laptop?" Logan started to feel like he was being maintained, not welcomed. One Saturday night, he sent his usual message. "Good night," no scene, no reply. 3 days passed, still nothing. Logan didn't blow up. He didn't text, "What's wrong? Why are you distant?" Or, "Did I do something?" like so many guys do when they feel anxious. He simply stopped. Stopped texting. Stopped liking her stories. Stopped providing Rachel with any form of validation. He got on with his life, working, exercising, and finally signing up for the UI/UX course he had been meaning to take for months. And oddly enough, he felt lighter, as if he had just taken off a backpack full of stones. 3 weeks later, Rachel texted, "Are you okay?" Logan saw the message. He read it, but didn't reply. 2 days later, "Are you mad at me?" Still silence. No accusations, no emojis, no emotional reactions. Reflection. Many people don't love you. They love the validation you give them. They're used to being asked about, cared for, and treated like someone special. And when you take that away, without drama or bitterness, they get confused. They're not used to the void. You were their emotional gas station. And when you pull the fuel line, their ego engine starts to sputter. They'll ask, "Why are you so silent?" But what they really mean is, "Why did you stop making me feel important?" Logan didn't do it for revenge. He simply reclaimed control over his energy. He refused to keep sending it to a place where there was no response. And sometimes, that's the deepest cut of all. No blood, no sound, just enough to make them face the emptiness that they thought they created, but was actually filled by you. Part 4. Becoming irreplaceable without showing off. New York, the city of dreams and harsh judgment. Kyle, a 31-year-old software engineer, once dated Jenna, a sharp woman in the advertising industry. They met at a tech innovation conference, and in Jenna's eyes, Kyle was initially an interesting guy. Smart, a bit awkward, but with potential. But after a few months, she began to show impatience. "You're still working at that same company? Don't you have a clearer plan for your future? I need someone with direction, not just a nice guy standing still. Eventually, Jenna left, quietly. She left a short message like a final period at the end of a sentence. I think we're just too different. Kyle didn't chase. He didn't write a message like, "You're a great person. I wish you happiness." He just disappeared. No stories posted. No status updates. No "feeling down today" captions. No lurking on Jenna's old posts. No reacting to anything about her. Instead, he spent the next 6 months doing what Jenna never thought he could, building his own project. A software solution to help the elderly manage their health at home, an idea he'd long had but never pursued due to self-doubt. The project succeeded beyond expectations. A local magazine featured him. Young engineer makes breakthrough in community healthcare. A few days later, a message popped up. I saw the article. Congrats. Kyle looked at the screen and smiled. He didn't write a long reply, just one line. Thanks, I hope you're doing well too. No exclamation point, no emojis. No, I'm glad you saw my success. Just a simple, self-assured response. Reflection. You don't need to prove anything to the one who walked away. When you grow in silence, the one who doubted you will eventually have to face themselves and the choice they thought was right. Sometimes a cold but polite reply is the strongest declaration. I've grown so far, I no longer need to prove anything. And when you become irreplaceable, not because you tried to be special, but because you worked, improved, and lived true to yourself in silence, you don't need them to regret losing you. They'll regret it all on their own, not because they lost you, but because they didn't have the patience to stay and witness your transformation. Part 5. Forgiveness isn't for her, it's for you. Denver, Colorado, a city with winters that cut through the skin and golden afternoons that can take your breath away. But inside Thomas, 34 years old, for that entire year, there was only storm. He was a financial analyst working for a small investment firm. Careful, thoughtful, quiet. Thomas was the kind of man everyone trusted, but few truly saw. The woman he loved, Lisa, was the first to make him feel seen, chosen, and genuinely loved. Until the day Thomas discovered that Lisa had cheated. Not a one-time slip, not a mistake, but a parallel relationship that had lasted for months with her former co-worker. Thomas broke down. He didn't cry, he didn't scream. He simply went silent and carried the pain like a barbell he refused to put down. For a year afterward, even though they had broken up, even though he blocked her on every platform, even though he never saw Lisa again, she remained present in his mind every night. Not as an image, but as a bitter feeling, as unanswered questions, as a wordless rage. One snowy night, sitting alone in his small apartment, Thomas wrote a single line in his journal. She's no longer here, but I still allow her to live in my mind every day. He stared at that sentence for a long time, and then he realized he was the one keeping himself imprisoned in an invisible cell. Lisa was gone. Maybe happy, maybe not. But her presence in his mind, through anger, sorrow, and regret, was still eroding every bit of peace he could have had. And in that moment, Thomas let go. Not by texting, "I forgive you," he didn't need to do that, but by choosing not to let her exist in his mind for even one more second. Not because Lisa deserved forgiveness, but because he deserved freedom. Reflection. Many people think forgiveness is a gift you give to the one who betrayed you. But in truth, forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. You can't turn the page if you keep trying to sleep on the last one. You can't build new confidence, peace, or relationships if you're dragging an old wound behind you every day. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It simply means, I choose not to let this control me anymore. And sometimes that's the biggest victory, one that no one sees, but you feel it most clearly. Conclusion. When you no longer need to prove anything, you've already won. Not everyone who walks away from you is a bad person. And forgiving them doesn't mean they'll come back to apologize. But one thing is certain. When you stop reacting, stop seeking validation, and stop telling your story to gain sympathy, you've entered a new version of yourself, stronger, more grounded, and irreplaceable. Silence isn't surrender. It's a deliberate choice to preserve your worth. Withdrawing validation isn't manipulation, it's conserving your energy for yourself. And forgiveness? It's the final step in shedding the armor of anger you've worn for too long. The person who hurt you may never understand what they did, but you don't need them to understand, because your goal now isn't revenge, it's becoming so whole. You no longer need anyone to validate your worth. And by then, they'll see you, not through a message or a story, but through the quiet radiance that surrounds you, without you ever needing to show it.